Yeah, it feels good. It's freezing. It's you guys. Let's get started here. Yoo-hoo! Yeah, no, it's a mic for the. I'm holding this thing. You can't. It's not a mic for me. It's a mic for the camera. So I don't get louder by holding this mic. But we are filming this so we can put this portion, rules clinics, online. So you'll be able to go back and when Nora speaks with some rules changes, you'll be able to go back and see it again too. So if you missed some notes, but I'm glad to see you guys. I miss you. I miss you all week because I'm all over the place, and I don't worry about volleyball. I really, truly don't. I know you guys are doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're taking care of business. You're learning, and you've got great leaders in the volleyball community. So I have to make sure I'm at spirit and basketball and some of those guys before I'm volleyball. But thanks for being here, and I hope you guys had a great sessions before this. But we're going to go over, I'm going to talk a little bit about the state championship and then rules here, and then we'll turn it over. The majority of it is going to be Nora talking about the rules changes. You'll be happy there's not many rules changes. Now, if you look at your rule book and you see this little picture of me, I'm on the National Rules Committee, and it was kind of ironic this year. The reason there's not many rules changes, which really actually worked out, number one, volleyball's in a good place. But number two, we were supposed to fly to Indianapolis when they had those ice, it shut down. Indianapolis shut down, and that was when our committee was going to be. And we were supposed to go over there. It was beginning of January. You couldn't get in and out up there in the Midwest. And so our committee meeting actually was on the phone, Skyping. So, of course, we weren't there for 3 solid days talking to each other, so that's why there's a little bit of minimal rule changes. But volleyball's in a good place. And what I want to tell you is when we do these volleyball rule changes and at the committee, USA Volleyball, NCAA, and ourselves, we're all sitting around the table. And there's one thing that volleyball does that not any sport in the National Federation does of high school sports is they're trying to write the same rules. So last year for the officials, you had the signal sequence change, and then you're seeing the Libero uniform change. That's the exact wording in NCAA and USA Volleyball because we're trying to be a little bit more uniform. So that's a good thing. They're trying to get everybody on the same page, and I think that's why it's growing. Volleyball in America is growing, one of the fastest growing sports besides bowling. So just want to put that little thing out there. Okay, Monday, August 11th is your first official start date. Yes, I do know football starts on August 4th. You guys are August 11th, okay? Don't start before then. If you do, I know there's some jamborees or some things you guys are doing. It cannot be mandatory. And you cannot start, yes, I do know, I was a coach, you're analyzing your team and this and that. That's fine, but please don't verbally say it. Don't go tell a parent that, yeah, she's going to be my right front, or just let that go, okay? Wait till tryouts. And then in tryouts, at least try to do 3 days of tryouts. I know you know in your head who's going to make the team by then, and I know you're like, oh my gosh, she can't even do anything. How long do I have to keep her? But those are the parents that are going to call me and say, I didn't get official tryout and she got cut because she wasn't there in the summer. And then we have problems. So just play with it a little bit. It's only 3 days out of the season, you know, or 2 days or whatever. I suggest 3, but it's only 3 days. Bear with it, okay, because then it's gonna be a lot easier when it comes to parents and cutting. August 16th, 5 days practice. You can start your first scrimmage, competition, whatever you want to do. Most of you guys are scrimmaging. On September 15th, make sure you have all your rosters and everything into Max Preps. Max Preps is not new anymore. This is the 3rd year, so you should know how to get everything into Max Preps. If you're new to coaching, make sure you talk to your athletic director. I am not so worried about the photo on September 15th, so don't think you got to run out and get a photo and get it on September 15th. I look at the photos honestly mid-October. Even though it's not in the bylaws written there, I wait to the end to look to see if you have a photo. So just sometimes by 3rd week in October, because that's when they'll start pulling for the program also. And that's where your problem, guys, that's why we ask for a photo. It's really not that I want to see everybody's photo. I mean, I like to, but it's because your parents and your grandparents, if their kid is not in a program and a photo, that's what they're going to complain about. So just make sure you get a photo in there. District tournament for all classes. Class B, you are the same as everybody else. Okay, district tournament. And then the state tournament, that means the new Class A, you will be taking 12, okay, to the state tournament. Same thing. So every class, A through 6A, takes 12 to the state tournament. Seeding November 9th. By 8 a.m., please make sure you have your coach's input into our office. And you may want to check the seeding criteria 7.11. It's changed a little bit, not much. It has changed a tad. It is all objective. It is not any input from the NMA. It is head-to-head, finish in district, everything else. So max preps ranking. So just make sure you look at that. State tournament at the pit. I'm not at the pit. Sorry, I was at basketball. That was Spirit. At Santa Ana. You guys, actually, what I did is I did talk to some of you, because the convention center, Albuquerque Convention Center, wants volleyball real bad. And the thought was to get all 8 or 9 or 10 courts into the convention center, and then on the final day go to the pit for the championship day on Saturday. However, no parking, seats. I mean, we would have to bring in bleachers. It just was not, I just didn't feel, yeah, we could have made it work and everybody would be excited to be in one building, but it just was not conducive for volleyball. I just didn't think. I just thought it was. I'm positive. So we got to get her a hotel by Santa Ana. Okay, check your schedules. 20 total matches. Check them. Scrimmage, you can have one scrimmage day. A lot of people do as far as volleyball. There's about 3, 4, 5 teams in the gym, and you're doing this all day. You're changing, rotating, whatever format you want to do. But that one scrimmage day can have a lot of teams, one team, whatever. So make sure you're doing that. Sub-varsity is 17. Okay, make sure that you know the difference between the varsity and the sub-varsity as far as games. New alignment and classification. Talked about that. Everybody thinks, oh, we added a classification. We did not add a classification. We were B, A, AA, 3, 4, and 5A. Okay, we had a Class B. And when the new classification alignment came about, those Class B folks had a hard time with being B, and I can understand that. So we always had 6 classes. So that's why we went A through 6A. Now I know when you say 6A, it sounds like we're the state of Texas or Florida and we have these huge 5,000, kids in a school. That's not the case. New Mexico is unique. And the reason for the 6 classes is because a few years ago, I'd say probably about 5, 6 years ago when 4 or 5 years ago, Class B had a difficult time. We have some schools that have 20 kids in it in the whole high school, 30 kids. And they were in a classification of schools that had 120. And if you think about it, some of you guys complain when you're playing somebody double your size. Well, if you go from 20 to 120, that's 6 times your size. And so some of those smaller schools had a very difficult time in Class A competing, and that's why they made Class B for those smaller schools. And it's worked out real well, and Elida takes it every single doggone year. How many did you guys take? 4? 3? 4? You've taken all of them, haven't you? Yeah. He's not saying anything, but he's dominated Class B. So, but it's good. Now that we did the new classification alignment, actually I think they have 30 schools or something like that in their classification. So it's not a small classification anymore. In fact, Class A and AA, our smallest classifications, are bigger than our 6 and 5A. So make sure you're looking at what classification. You guys probably already know that. Max Preps, everything, scores on Max Preps. The Max Preps rankings are used criteria points in seating and selection. Make sure they're accurate. I don't know if you're aware, some of you might have seen it in the newspaper. I went to the board in June and asked for a sports information director for the NMAA. And this person, I've got a new person on board, and their job, basically one of their jobs, is to make sure that the scores are getting on Max Preps and they are accurate. So I have somebody there just making sure. You may get an email from this guy, hey, you haven't updated your score yet, you know, that type of stuff. We have to make sure they're accurate because Max Preps is used for seeding and selection. And now Max Preps is actually used for the tiebreaker procedures in seeding and selection if I've got two tied teams. And when I say two tied teams, we have 6 criteria points. And so if one team has 3 of the criteria points and another team has 3, and we just can't know which one is above the other, we will go to Max Preps rankings to break that tie for the seeding and selection. So it's very vital you get that in there. Any questions so far? Red flags should be used by line judges. Host school, make sure you have them. So make sure you have red flags out there if you're hosting a game. And give them to the line judges. The officials are going to be, where does she go? Nora? Oh, there she is. The officials will be looking for that, so make sure you have red flags. Every school that's playing volleyball should have red flags. Open enrollment choice, 8th graders. How many of you guys allow 8th graders to play at the high school level? Majority, a lot of you guys do. Make sure if an 8th grader is playing at the high school level that they fill out an 8th grade participation form. If they participate in a C team match, JV match, varsity match, prior to having that form sent to our office, they are ineligible players. They must fill out that 8th grade participation form. So make sure your athletic director should know about it. This is the 3rd year we're doing it. But the reason for that is we have a lot of 8th graders in New Mexico that play at the high school level, and then they're going to try to bolt for another school in their 9th grade. They're not going to be able to bolt to another school. They will then be a transfer student. So make sure we get that so the parents are aware that when they move up to high school, they are now considered a high school student. Bona fide residents, transfer student, 2.0, okay? Make sure you understand those bylaws. Any questions of any of those bylaws? You see a situation coming down the pipe. Any questions? Because we could talk forever on that. Okay.
The last bill there, academically ineligible student may practice until they become eligible.
Okay. Now the question was academically ineligible students, they can practice, but that might be a school rule where you do not let them practice. If you have an academically ineligible student, they cannot be in uniform, they cannot sit on the bench, they cannot go on the bus with you, but they can be in a practice situation. Okay? Reason that the committee, bylaws committee went to that was because they felt that when somebody's academically ineligible, a coach really needs to be on top of them. Instead of sending them off 2:30, they're not going to go study after school. So this way the coach is still on top of them and they're part of something and they're working towards trying to be able to play. So that's the reason. But there's a lot of schools that don't let them practice. That's up to your school district, but they can. Yes? Yes. The transfer rule, it doesn't matter what level they play. If they play at the high school level, even if they play C team, if they transfer to another school, those transfer rules do apply. So a lot of parents think that, oh, they didn't play varsity, it doesn't matter. It does matter. If they play at the high school level, they are considered a transfer student. Okay. Yes? They could play C team or JV at another school. You will see a lot of 8th graders play at a smaller school. They know the transfer rule, and then they go to a bigger school and they probably wouldn't be making the varsity anyway. You see that quite a bit, but they would be eligible for the sub-varsity. Yes?
So I don't know how this would work, but for the GPA, are the individual schools and individual teams allowed to have a standard higher standard than that and kind of enforce that?
Yes, the question was, can a school or an individual team have a higher academic standard? And that is yes. We have a rule in our bylaw basically that says the school or school district can make any of our rules stricter. So like the academically ineligible, you can say they can't practice. We allow them to, but you could say as a school or whatever, they cannot practice. Now as far as a lot of teams do that, we probably have about 20% of our schools in New Mexico that have stricter standards. They have to have a 2.5, they can't have an F. There's a lot of schools that are doing that. So yes, you can. And as an individual program, you can. My suggestion is go through the athletic department and make sure that it's clear and your parents understand what the rule is. But you need to get approval by the athletic director and the school. Okay. Each team individual must have 5 days of practice. That starts that Monday, November 11th. It doesn't matter, 2 days, whatever. They just need to practice for 5 days. And I had a question at the beginning. When you're hosting tournaments, pool play does not count towards your match limitation. When you get into tournament play, and even if the tournament play is 2 out of 3, it does count. Okay, if you're playing 2 games to 15, pool play, whatever, that does not count. Tournament play does count. Now, I know there's some gray there because we're having some schools that are doing 2 games actually it's the quarterfinals of a tournament. Since they're not playing 2 out of 3, by rule, that's actually okay. But if you start the 2 out of 3 in a tournament and everything else, those games do count. Matches count. Okay? Questions with that? Game limitations. 5. Okay? If you're varsity, sub-varsity, you have 5 games per day. Okay? And that is with the same team. And sub-varsity, you have 4. So if you're going a C-team JV split, you have 4 games. Those kids can move up and down on a given day against a given team. If you're playing different teams, if your JV is playing Elida and your varsity is playing Floyd, you can't just use that 5 game and count it 1 because that's 2 different teams. In order to do the 5 game, 4 game limit when they're going up and down, it must be the same team that you're participating against. Libro jersey, and Nora's going to go through this starting in 2016. I'll let Nora go through all the ins and outs of it. I'm getting a lot of calls. Okay, solid. And it was interesting, we just as a thing this weekend, either the Libro must be solid. I don't know what he sound like, but that didn't sound very good. But either the Libro must be solid or the main guys must be solid or your main team must be solid. Okay, but one of them has to be solid. What the majority of everybody's doing is the Libro is going to be the one that's solid. And it must be contrasting. If you have school colors that are not contrasting, don't think that you can just flip-flop home and away for the Libro. You need to make sure it's contrasting. We've had some calls in our office, just is this contrasting, is this not? And like I said, Nora will go through that, but make sure before you're buying new uniforms, you understand this. And that's it again, and Nora's got a slide on that, so I'll skip that. Licensure. All coaches, volunteers must be licensed to the public education department. We get calls all the time. The NMAA does not license you. The public education department licenses you. And if you are a private school, you still have to be licensed through the public education department. Now, on our website, we have the coaches, the fundamentals of coaching course. We have the link to the federation. That's all we do. Hey, we don't license you, so if you have questions, we know how to do it, so you can ask us questions about it, but it's actually through the public education department. New coaches that do not have a license as of right now, starting right now, July 2014, in order to get a level 1 coaching license, you now have to have first aid. Now, those that have a license, they're not doing retro, but the public education department is asking for first aid. So on the NFHS site, first aid course, you have to take that for a license as well. Yes?
How about if a coach got out of coaching, but then he's coming back in, but his license is not up to date? He'd have to go through the...
If you've totally lost your license, you're going to have to start again. And the public education department will know that better, but yes, they'll make you start back. Okay? Another question? So the first aid course, we have been trying to get this in 4 years ago. Also what we're doing, the NMA, you'll be seeing Project Heart Start in your schools. We're going to be trying to get Project Heart Start in every single school. 4 years ago, we had a student athlete pass away when they were working out, had a heart attack, Nobody, the coach, kids, nobody was certified in CPR. The only one certified was a kid that was dying. And he passed away. And so 4 years ago, we put a push into the public education department. We have to have these coaches that need first aid. You're not going to have a trainer there. You're going to be places where it's going to take a while. So that's why we're bringing in Project Heart Start to every single school. So within a year, you guys will all be trained in Project Heart Start. But that's not going to take place now. It's going to take time. But we're starting that now. So seating and selection. First off, thank you. You guys are awesome. I sent out an email, and boy, do we get some emails back. And you know what? And that was awesome. That's what we need. This is your association. And so I like to get feedback from you. And the sports-specific, you have a great sports-specific committee. Fantastic one. And this came out as somebody from the sports-specific committee. I sent it out. And basically, you guys told me of 70%, it came out 70% loud and clear. You want to stick with the same state championship format. So we're sticking with it. Okay, I'm listening, we're sticking to it. However, what came out of it is how we are structuring the pools. So we have changed this a little bit. Before we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we came back 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, what we did through all your conversations, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're coming back 9, 10, 11, 12. So your top and bottom seed are in the same pool. So that is going to be switched for next year. Okay, so just and as we get things, you know, that was wonderful. Send your thoughts. Send it to Sports Specific. You know, you got some leaders there that will send it to me, and then we can get it out. But I was really pleased with that. I do not mind. Tell me something's wrong. I don't mind it, guys. Don't worry about, oh, should we CC Sally on this? Don't worry about that. Just send it. I need to know what you're thinking. It only makes the association better. So thank you for that. And then I did tell you about the coaches' input forms. Make sure you get those in at 8 a.m. Those are used. I'll tell you, we read every single one of those. So make sure you get those in. Here are the seating. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit. I said to go to 7-11. These are the new 6 criteria points. Nothing new, just a little bit tweaks on the wording. The only thing is, you notice in here it does not say NMAA staff input. It used to say that. So anything we do, I can't have an opinion when we seat and select. It's all going based on what's in front of me, the data in front of me. So these are the 6 criteria points that we're going to use, and like I said, the tiebreaker is max preps. And what we do, it was Cloudcroft in boys basketball. They didn't understand why they didn't get into the state tournament, and they gave me a call, which was great. So when basketball was over and everybody kind of calmed their emotions down, I went to Cloudcroft, and I sat around the table with about 8 people, some board members, coaches, athletic directors, principals, superintendent, and talked to them about how we seed and select. Guys, we don't go in a room and just, hey, this is where we're going to put them. We compare every single team by criteria point. And so if I am comparing Rio Rancho to La Cueva, I am going to go down here and say, okay, Rio Rancho finished first in the district, La Cueva finished second. Rio Rancho would get that criteria point. Head to head, what was their record? Who beat who? And that person would get the criteria point. Okay, how many district champions did they beat? So then I go to every single district champion from Class A to 6A, and if they played any of those district champions, what was their record against district champions? Then we go to overall records, max preps, and then your coach's input. And so we check who gets those criteria points between those 2 schools. And if it comes up to 3 to 3, then that's when we use max preps. So it's not like we go in there and it's just our decision. Okay, we go back to the data of seeding and selection on that.
I have a question on that. Just on number 3, wins against district champions. So let's say on my schedule, I have 10 district champions that I played during my season, and somebody else only played theirs. So I go 2 and 8 against district champs, but they're 1 and 1. They win that point?
No. Then sometimes we don't have points. So in other words, like if you don't have the head-to-head, nobody wins that criteria point. Overall record, and I'm going to go away from the 10 and 2 and 10, but like overall record, I know there's some districts that don't do a full schedule because that's their district rule. So if somebody is 15-7 and 14-8, to me almost, or that's almost a wash. Or somebody's 15-7, and 15-5 because they didn't have as much games. I'll look at that and we'll just wash the overall record. So you might not, nobody may get that criteria point because those wins and losses are too close to, the percentages. So we'll look at stuff like that. So it's not necessary that every single one of those categories have to have. Some of them it's a draw. There's some times where we've got a draw on all of them. Woo! We got a draw on all of them and we're down to this. And that's just what happens. Hey, yes?
What happened to the strength of the schedule?
We've never had strength of schedule. Never. Max Preps is your strength of schedule. Before, when we started seating selection, strength of schedule was not in there anywhere. Now, when we picked up Max Preps a couple years ago, that's where your strength of schedule comes in a little bit. But the athletic directors and administrators are very leery of putting strength of schedule in there because there are some schools that would not have a full schedule. People would not want to play them, even though they're like right next door. They'll say, oh, that's not going to help my, the strength of schedule, so they won't play them. So in New Mexico, that's going to be very tough. But we do have it in Max Preps. And if it's a tie, we're actually using it as a tiebreaker. And I don't know what the next slide is, but I'll just keep talking. One thing, and it's not in volleyball, so in your other sports, one thing that they eliminated is now in your other sports, and we didn't have it because of pool play, but you can play your district opponent now in the first round in your other sports. Okay, so in volleyball, we didn't have that. I always made sure that at least all three of you were not in one. There's no way we couldn't do that. 2 of you played in some pools. But in other sports, you couldn't play that first round, your district opponent. Now you can. So. Santa Ana, Rio Rancho, I am still working out. We put possibly Bernalillo. We're still looking at Rio Rancho Middle School. Because we have another classification that's going from 8 to 12, we have more pool play games. So we're going to have to figure out the gymnasium space. I know I heard from some of you that you didn't think it was a state championship environment going to the middle school, Rio Rancho Middle School. Rio Rancho Middle School is probably one of the best gymnasiums that we have in the area as far as quality. That was why I looked at the convention center, because where are we putting all these games? And I know I heard back from some of you. We either go to the convention center where there's no parking and there's no fans, or we have to continue with what we're doing and going to outside sites until the quarterfinals. So I am looking at Bernalillo High School because we do play there in basketball and they do have a very good facility. So I'm looking at that right now. I haven't talked to them specifically, but we are looking at that, what we can do. Okay. Any questions?
What did we decide about pool play? I know that was an option that might change.
Same. Everything's same. The only thing that changed was that who's in the pool. That's the only thing that changed. November 13th through 15th, district champ, regular season district champ, and district tournament champ automatically get in. And then pool play, everybody's the same. Pool play, games to 25, start 4-4. Class B, you're now Class A. You're not going to have not going to have different pools. I think we had 2 pools of 4. You're going to be back to the same as 4 pools of 3, just like the others are. 3-ball rotation, guys. We have tried 3-ball rotation in the semis and even tried in the quarters, and it is just not working. We've got too many people in there with 4 courts. It's just we're trying. We're going to try to still have people there, and maybe we can speed it up. We will definitely have it for the finals. What happens is we have kids getting out of school to do that, which is they're great, but then they get tired after a while, and then we lose them, and it's very difficult. So I may go to where I'm going to pay a school to do quarters and semis. I think if I put some cash value out there that the school, not them, but the school would get some money, the coaches we'd make sure people are there. So we're still going to try, but I'll guarantee you they'll be in the finals, but they may not be in the quarters and semis. Remember, 14 uniformed players. You guys know all of this. Athletic trainers on site. Make sure there's no more than 20. You guys are great when it comes to that on your bench. And Dig Pink. Dig Pink. We'll still have Dig Pink in October. All your communication with Dig Pink goes through Alyssa.
No, that is not contrasting.
Sure it is.
That would not be good for a libero.
Looks good on here. Any questions before I turn over to Nora? Okay, one last thing. You will hear, we unveiled it yesterday with our athletic directors. You'll keep hearing it and we'll keep going at it. We just told them what we were doing. We have a new sportsmanship initiative. The slogan is compete with class. We are going to compete with class. And we have a curriculum, and this is New Mexico's initiative. Before we were using Pursuing Victory with Honor. That came from California, and we had to pay for those rights. And then we use the Federation Sportsmanship, it's up to you. That's another national thing. About a year ago, I said, why not something for New Mexico? This is crazy, we're borrowing. And we have great educators, know what all sportsmanship is all about. So I got a committee in October, been working on it. Committee was athletic directors, administrators, coaches, teachers, students. On the committee, we had student input, and they came up with the slogan, compete with class. We are trademarking the slogan. It's New Mexico's own. We have a curriculum. We just gave every athletic director, and if they weren't at the meeting yesterday, they'll get it, but every school a banner. We'll have one in the gymnasium, compete with class. Basically, it goes to stay in your lane. Everyone has a role, and we've given the role. We have the role of the coach, we have the role of the parent, we have the role of the administrator, the principal, the fan, the officials, and this is what we're going to expect when it comes to sportsmanship initiative. Volleyball, guys, I'm telling you, is our best. In what I've been, this is 11th year now. I think in 11 years, we've only had 3 coach ejections in 11 years in volleyball. It's awesome. So I'm asking you, we need it to start with you guys. You're starting the fall. So talk about compete with class. Like I said, we're going to get the curriculum out. You'll have brochures. You'll have everything out there, T-shirts, everything. But I'm just asking, please buy into it because it's New Mexico's own, and it was developed by your peers. So I'm going to turn this over to Nora, and she can talk about hardly any rule changes.
No, if it's only got 4 rule changes, I don't know why y'all gave me 35 slides.
That's because we can skip through them.
I'm with it.
Good. Because it's freezing in here.
I
It might
know.
be 60 degrees now.
Okay. Sally, was this thing on the whole time?
No, it's not on. It's for the, you don't have to.
Oh, good. Thank God. So y'all, I just have to hold it so it gets recorded?
Yes.
Ah, jeez. Okay, people. I know, really. And when I look at, hi, I'm Nora, and I am one of your officials in the state of New Mexico, and I do volleyball. And it's the only one I do because it's the one I love. Not quite as much as y'all, but I really love the sport. So we're going to go over these rule changes, and the good thing about it, we only have 4. So let's get on with them. Okay, I want to bring this up for a moment. Where is the ELIDA coach? There you are. I want you all to look at your rule books when you get them. Guess who's, this goes to every state in the United States. Guess who's on the cover? Who are you playing in the finals? Carrizozo? Y'all are all in here, okay? If you see it on the cover, it's on both of them. I've had more refs come up to me and go, I see it says New Mexico back there. Is that y'all? I said, that is us. Better believe it. We do exist and we do play volleyball. So, this is a little commercial in here. Right height, right tension every time. You get this, please let us know. We won't bring our chain. All right, first rule change, we're going to talk about Rule 422. A couple things on the uniforms. One of the things the committee met when they met and talked, they talked about making sure that the girls could still display school spirit. So you can have a mascot, school mascot, or a mascot reference on your sleeve. It has to be the right size, which is 4x4 or 3x5 if you have a longer mascot. That's the biggest that it can be. Okay, anybody have any questions about that? Moving on. Loving it. Okay, this is a rule change. A lot of these rule changes that go in, the next 3 I'm talking about, as a matter of fact, are things we're already doing. But they just decided, we probably should make this a rule. What this rule is saying is, when the ball goes close to the antenna, oftentimes, who sees it real well? When it's on the side of the benches, the coaches see it real well. The R1's like. So now they're saying, R2, you can step up and you can make that call, which we already had. We tell our partner, look and let me know if it's on there, okay? Because we move to see it, and we also see you coaches. We can see y'all, okay? So what this is saying is now the second referee can be with you guys. We'll all be together and everybody's legal. Gets us in a good position to make that call. They merely pass that information on to the R1 or the first referee. The next change, timeout. Again, this is something we've been doing. What it has to do with basically is the second referee they're in charge of timeouts, stopping them, starting them. Second referee has the court during timeouts, during substitutions. So basically what this is saying is they're going to give 2 tweets in the timeout, or if they're going to end it early. If it doesn't get ended early, meaning both teams are back on the court ready to play, then the horn will sound. We're telling you all this so that when you hear that horn sound, you need to be back on the court ready to play, okay? If not, you're going to have the second referee coming over going, okay, here we go, let's go, let's go. First time we'll do that. Second time it's going to be a penalty. Okay, so get on out there. Let's get ready to play. But if it ends early, you're going to hear an official's whistle. That means it's early. Now, when we say ending early, if a coach is standing on the sideline talking to their set or talking to a player, does that mean the timeout's ended early? No. We assume you're still talking to your player, so we won't end the timeout until we literally see both teams back there and the girls are doing that thing they do, ready positions. Okay, line judge responsibilities. This slide is basically explaining where we want, as officials, the line judges to be standing. The first referee can request that the line judge, there's basically 3 positions. There's the typical position where we want to see the line judge standing on the corner. She's on the corner, she can see the end line, she can see the sideline, right? Then you have the girl that's coming and serving right next to her. Well, we know line judges are like magnets. So we tell them, don't stand there smiling at her, she will hit you. So what we want them to do first is that let's say this is the end line here, this is the sideline, and she's standing here, the girl is serving right there. We tell her, go behind her. And then when she's done serving, go up with her. Now, sometimes if the girl's got her toe right up to the line, you can tell, and then the R1, the first referee, will watch the end line. However, if there's another position now that this slide explains, sometimes the first referee may direct her to go out to the sideline because they want her to be, let's say it's a jump server who's starting way back here and she's running and taking a jump off. The first referee may instruct that line judge to come out to the side and to watch it from here. That's all this is saying. If there's going to be the default position on the corner, second position, go behind them, and then the third position, come out to the end line. Okay? Having said that, I've been officiating for over 30 years, and you think you've seen it all, and I'm get ready to beckon for a serve, and I look up, and I don't have a line judge, and I'm like, I had her at the last point, so I go, and all of a sudden there's a girl standing over at the end of the wall over there. She waves her flag at me. All she heard me say was, if they come off the line, back up behind them, she goes behind the girl. Way over here. And I couldn't help it. I go, I said, come on back. I mean, what do you do? And the poor home coach was like, oh, God. And I looked over at that home coach. That's your girl. You provided. So I'm sure as coaches, right when you think you've seen it all, you have a kid come out and do a move on the court, and you go, I have never seen that. Don't want to see it again. Okay, that's all the changes that we have in terms of rules. So one of them, the uniform rule, is the one that we're slowly getting it to what it's going to be for 2016 when we have to make all the changes. The other 3 are things that we were already doing, okay? Let's talk about editorial changes. Do you guys have rule books? Yet? Not yet? Okay, I'm going to give you page references so that when you get them, you can visit these changes. Okay, most of these signals, the signal sequence is going to change for referees. As head coaches and all the coaches, you're going to want to know what the infractions are. It's still going to be the same. We're going to award the point first. You know, holding this is not fun. I need my hands. Because I'm an official. Okay, so we're talking about signal sequence. So you're still going to see us award the point, all right, and we're going to give you the infraction. This is talking about the signal sequence changing when the second referee makes the call, when the second referee makes a line judge fault, when the second referee calls a net violation, okay? All you're going to see the first referee do is award the point. The sequence is going to be, let's say I am the second referee, I'm the ref on the floor, I call a net. I'm watching the blocking side, my hitter over here hits the net. You're going to see them go tweet, they're going to walk over there, we're working with them to do this. They're going to walk over to that side where they're going to say net. They're going to give me, not you coaches, they're going to give the R1, the first referee, a number. I have a net over here, it's on number 9. So at that point, the first referee has a decision to make. Do I accept that? So that's why your R2 will stop and they'll look at their R1. And typically, 99% of the time we go, yeah, you're right, it was net. And we award the point. Now, if you as a coach are looking confused, I'll probably go, 9. Okay, it was 9. All right? So when you're used to saying to the referee, well, who was it? Don't be surprised if they just keep doing this to their first referee. Now, this is typically what I'll do. 9. Because, you know, volleyball coaches, if you only do volleyball, aren't the best at reading numbers. Nor are volleyball refs the best at giving numbers. So we actually have in the case book, when you get to the case book, if you all will look on pages, excuse me, at 92, 93, and 94, they actually wrote it down this time, how to show and read numbers. This case book, I want to tell you all, has been redone. It's excellent. We had situations in there that hadn't been changed in years, and they went through it case by case and made all these changes. If you can, it's the case book and it's also the officials manual. This is going to be something that we're going to live out of a lot this year for the officials. So that's what's going to happen when the referee on the floor whistles a fault. Don't be surprised if you only see the R1 awarding the point, because ultimately the first referee is in charge of the match. You only get a point if the first referee gives it. So sometimes you may be excited because they're calling a net and the first referee looks at them and goes, there's a net over here? Well, I had this first. Okay, so we're going over here. That's the reason for that. So when you see them whistle it, turn and look at your first referee to see, did we get the point? Okay? You also have simultaneous whistles. The first referee has to decide whose whistle went first, mine or my partner. Okay? Court protocol. This is a thing we've already been doing. Okay? So let's say there's going to be deciding set. You'll see it used to be that girls had to go to the end lines while we did the coin toss and all that, because we might have had to change sides, we have to do something. Now we just end it. We tell them, the captains go over there with the second referee. They're going to flip the coin. When they're done flipping the coin, then you'll look up and your first referee will then, when they're done flipping the coin, the second referee tells them, we got serving over here, they're staying. Or the second referee will tell them we're switching. The first referee will then say, okay, tweet, tweet, we had the end of the game, change sides, please. Okay? Typically by then you all are all ready because you told her, what did we get? We're over there? Okay. So again, it's something we're already doing. So the rule book's kind of catching up to what's happening already anyway. Okay, love this slide. It's wrong. We've already talked to them about that. What this is saying is during the timeout, a coach can request a substitution, and you don't have to go through the regular process. You know how I used to have to send the girls up to the line at the end of a timeout, and then we would do it? You don't have to do that, which you all have known. This is the clarification here. It made it seem like the girls had to go tell the second referee they were going in. That's not correct. The coach has to tell the second referee that they have a substitution. And here they may go up and say, I have 8s going in for 12, and I have 31 going in for 3. What's wrong with this slide? No, that's fine. They can get on the court. What's wrong with this slide? So what you do is just walk up to that extension of the 10-foot line, second referee, and we will come up, yes, can I help you? Okay? I'd like to make a substitution. Now, we don't mind. During the timeout, you're usually meandering over. Most of you still either get in at the beginning of timeout if you're in because there's been a timeout because you want to talk to your players. This is just letting you know you can make a substitution during a timeout, but the coach has to do it. That's what the clarification is for. You can't send the kid up there while you're still talking. Go tell them you're going in. And you're still talking to the kids. You have to go tell them. The coach has to go tell them the kids. Why? They don't get the numbers right all the time. You guys tend to know who you wanted. You know who you meant to send in versus Ethel showing up and you meant for it to be Sarah. Okay? It's supposed to be the head coach. We will accept as long as it's a coach that we know it's one of your coaches. But all these things that we're talking about, we say the coach has to do it. It's supposed to be the coach, the head coach of that team. If it's C team, it should be the C team head coach. If it's JV, it should be the JV head coach, etc. Okay? And again, the key is don't come into the, and by that, what I don't want to see, what we don't want to see, don't come all the way in and be at the scores table. I'm making a substitution, blah, blah, blah. Main reason you have to let the referee know. That's the person you need to tell. So if you get our attention, we'll get it done for you. Okay? Any questions on that? It's cool.
The refs are gonna know this?
I'm talking to them. We've already I'm going to go over some libero hitting in a moment. For those of you that know me, you know I'm passionate about the sport. I love it. I love officiating. I like coaching more. But the last time I coached, I used to coach 5 years, ref 5 years, coach 5 years, and I was going back into coaching, and the old administration in MA said, we really need good refs. We really would appreciate it if you wouldn't go back and coach. And I was like, what? And so I stayed. And so one of the things I'm passionate about is trying to get all the referees all across the state trained up. Sometimes you'll see me at your games, and I want to thank you all for allowing us to be training them at every opportunity we can find. My goal is not to train at state. So we're trying to get them trained before they get there so that when you get to state, you can feel comfortable with any ref you see on your court. Feel free to talk to Sally. Feel free to talk to our commission of officials, Dana, about any officiating issues that you may have. They will eventually call our referees association and say, we really want you to go to, like, I'm going down to the Carlsbad-Loving area. They've asked me to go down there and work with them some more. I'm going to be doing that. I've got a request from the officials in the Grants Gallop area, but I don't go out to those places unless the group leader asks me to go out. So we're working on that now. So our goal is to be able to include referees from all over the state at the state tournament, but they have to be good enough. In order to be good enough, they have to be willing to learn, they have to be open to learn, they have to be able to be a sponge. So when you say, do the refs know that? It is a rule, they do know that. Our goal is to have all of them enforce the rules, but they have to know them first. So we're working on that, and we hope that you all can see some of the changes that we've made. I hope you can look up and see that the places that we've been, your officials are getting better. Many of them want to. Many of them they're embarrassed to ask for help, but eventually they'll come up and say, we need help. Can you come down and help, okay? So let's look at some editorial changes. Rule 1-2-3, that's going to be on page 8 when you get your rule books. It's page 8 of the rule book. It used to say the serve, receive, and playing areas for set number 1 are determined during the coin toss. They've taken out and playing areas. Why? As the home team, what do you pick? Your bench. So that doesn't come up in the coin toss. All I want to know is whoever wins the coin toss, do you want to serve or receive? Okay? So they just took out the word and playing areas. When we go to tournaments, we always decide how are we going to think of who's home team. The team at the top of the bracket, somebody has to be home, somebody has to be visitor, and home will always pick their bench. Okay? If it's changed at a tournament, meaning we're going to allow it, then they'll say, you get to pick serve, receive, and playing area. They'll say it at a tournament. If there's been no protocol established to decide who's going to be home, who's going to be visitor. Because at most tournaments, everybody's a visitor. Okay? Okay, Rule -9-4-6B. This is a good one. This basically talks about having simultaneous contact between two players. And this is under playing actions. It is going to be on page 34 of your rule book. And I'm going to read it to you directly. This talks about when teammates contact the ball at the same instant, it is permitted and considered one hit, except as a block, which doesn't count as a hit, as a first contact. Any players may attempt the next hit. So what they added was, provided the simultaneous contact is not the team's third hit. So you have two players, they both go to the ball, and they both kind of hit it at the same time. We're going to count that as one contact, and play will continue. What this is saying, play will continue unless that simultaneous contact is their third contact. Okay? Means the girl who did the simultaneous contact can pop it up again. Except, and if it's a third contact, can she hit it again? Why not? Right, because now you got four. Okay? Okay, they've added information for informal signals. This part of the clinic basically is for officials. It's the things you see us doing to each other. We got a game point, double, round lift, set, back row. That's us saying setters back row, setters front row. There's things we have to do to talk and communicate to one another. This goes over our informal signals. The reason for it is we're trying to be able to make it so that a referee from Las Cruces can call with a referee from Bloomfield, can call with a referee from Quamato, can call with a referee from Clovis. So this is helping all the referees to know what all of us that live in one area know what the informals, because we all use the same ones. All of a sudden we get into district or state and they're like, what is he telling me? What? Okay. So that's what all this informal signal thing is about. It's to help us be able to communicate a little bit more. And every now and then we see you coaches trying to see, what's she doing? What are they doing? But that's basically for the officials. All right, that's all that we had on editorial changes. Any other questions about the rule books? You haven't seen them? Shouldn't be much in there for you. Okay, points of emphasis. Courts and marking. Okay, boundary lines, all this is telling us is that it is strongly recommended that they be clearly visible color, contrasting to the color of the floor. Preferably as few contrasting colors as possible. I've been to some of your gyms and the line changed color 6 times. And I'm like, and so I'm telling, when we start the captain's meeting, and usually we like to go up and say, okay, the court's outlined, and we have navy blue on the court, and we have navy blue down the middle. And we have navy blue, and then we have a little bit of orange, and we got a little bit of brown. Tell your teammates over here it's black, and then it's white down the middle. Okay. So they don't want to really make this a enforceable hard and fast rule, but they wanted us to tell you they strongly recommend that it be one color or a shadowed one. The other problem we have sometimes is going through a mascot, and it goes through, El Dorado High School for years. Got to the eagle, nothing, and then it started again. Now they at least have to give us some shadow, a little something that we can work with, okay? What I'm telling you all, if you have a court like that, you've got a big mascot and it's not clearly delineated, you are, the second referee gets to use more of their judgment as to when they think there's a center line violation, okay? So I had a coach go down every game, took out some court tape, he put it across that mascot. I'm not gonna leave that up to the ref. Put his little piece after the game, pulled it up, okay? So it's up to, we're just letting you know that it's strongly recommended that they be contiguous lines, or they have to at least have a little shadowing in there so that we can see that there is a line there, okay? Okay, informal hand signals and numbers, we kind of covered this. This is basically letting you know that they are in, those are in the case book. Those are on page 89 and 92. And that's in this book here, How to Show and Read Numbers. This book, that's the case book in here. Basically, this is going over all of it. Now, they're talking about this because, as I said earlier, volleyball is notorious for not doing that very well. And FHS has decided we have to get better at doing that. I know in club and college we get to go, her. Nice, her. It was her. Coach, who was it? Her. That one. That one. So now they're like, no, you have to give numbers. So oddly enough, our basketball referees that come over and do all of, they're like, cool, we got this. Not a problem. Okay? So you'll see veterans out there going. And you as coaches are like. And then we see you look at your own girls. What number? No. All right, so this is telling all of us coaches, officials, we have to get better at doing numbers. What I'm going to instruct the referees to do is hold it for a while, hold the signal, don't just go, and stop when you're, okay? We'll put them out there, we'll hold them, we'll put it over on, if it's this side that did it, we'll put the number over there, if it's on this side, we'll put our hands over here, okay? Basically, they're telling you, know that this is typically always 10. We load this hand up first, okay? So if it's 14, it's gonna look to you like this. It's number 14. Now, if it's number 40, you're gonna see it like this. Okay? And that's when we know y'all go. Okay, 40. All right? So we load this hand up first, unless you get into the 20, 30, 40, 50s and all that. Okay? Read over that. That goes over how you're going to see numbers coming. And I know while we go through this process, we'll still probably go, it's 40. Okay? They're going to give you numbers when players are in the net. And this is to help us be able to be a little more consistent in the use of hand signals. Know that we use the International Sign Language number for 3 is like this. This is 3. It's not this. It's this. So if you see that, that means it's a 3. There's a 3. There's a 3 in that number we just gave you somewhere. Look at your kids. There's a 3 something out there. All right? Okay. This is something we've already been doing. This is basically another one that's for the officials. It's going to be for when they're out of view. Many times, sometimes you as coaches have a better view, better perspective on the ball than the first referee does. So this is telling the second referee they need to move to get in position. Their first job is to assist. The second referee's number 1 job is to assist the first referee. So as they're looking at the block and the action's not there and it's gone away, the hit has gone, the second referee watches it in between the two 10-foot lines. If they realize that it's coming down here and the player is making a play and their back is to the first referee, that R2 is to shift and to get over there to see what's happening. Okay? Then they're to tell us, and especially when they have their back to the R1 and the ball comes out kind of hinky, all I can think of is something must have happened over there. Okay? What this allows is the R2 to step out and go, or she doubled it, okay, to help us out there a little bit. We have to always be communicating with one another. When I say coaches sometimes have the best view, I was doing a finals match between Las Cruces and Rio Rancho years back. And there was a hit down the line. That was back when you couldn't touch a ball below the waist. That was not playable. The player went just like she was on. I'm over here as the R1. The player pops, the ball goes right here. And she's down, and the ball comes up. Well, I'm thinking, did it hit her arm? Or did it hit her leg?
It hit her arm.
Here's Toby going, yeah, that way. Here's Keith. He immediately looks over at me. I look at my partner. Because I can just see the side of the body, and I'm like, so I let play continue. If we can't tell for sure, don't ever think we're going to stop a match. If we don't see it, we're not going to stop the play. So I didn't stop it. So at the end of the match, you're all over. The coach from Cruces comes up and goes, "You called a perfect game except that one call." And I said, "Which call would that be?" "It hit her leg." And Toby's like, "It hit her arm." And I said, "Well, thank goodness it didn't come down to 1 point." So this is merely saying for situations that are out of view, the R2 will be helping the R1. So don't be thinking, "Oh, you calling the game or is this one calling the game?" It's sometimes we're blocked and we can't see something. Okay, official manuals changes. This is literally saying at the end of the set, remember how in the old days the first referee had to come over and look at the score sheet and sign the score sheet? Now on, that's going to be the referee that's on the floor. That's going to be the second referee. Who looks at the score sheet the whole match? So let them do that. You know, I hate it when I come over and I have to tell my partner, "Is it okay?" I'm about to sign that it's all perfect and verified. I have no idea. Okay? And to have an idea, I have to stand there and look at it. Well, they really don't want us standing around the table because sometimes y'all aren't very fond of us and we need to leave. So the last thing you want to do is be standing there and have a coach going. So This allows the other two to be verifying it as the match goes along. And sometimes we will exit and the score may get up and bring the scorebook to us. In college, we never. As soon as we're over, the police escort comes down and they cart us away. And the table crew brings the rule book over so we can debrief, brings the rule book up to us. Okay? Luckily, volleyball is kind of like a kinder, gentler sport. We really don't have, you guys get angry with us and mad and want to spit and kick and throw, but you basically don't attack us. You know, we've had some situations that have not been good, but nothing like they have in football or basketball when they get right upon you and yell at you. Oh, I would never do basketball. I'd be on the news. Referee shoots a coach. Get off of me. So let's review the solid color uniform a little bit. Basically, and Sally made a good point. I want to make sure you're clear on it. We're not talking about the libero has to be in a solid color. Just one of you have two aspects of team player jerseys on your team. What's the libero going to wear? What is the rest of the team going to wear? So typically you'll hear people say, well, the libero needs to be in, because why? That's one player versus changing the other 9 or 10, okay? As long as one of them, either the libero or the rest of the team is in a solid color jersey, we're good with that. It is also okay, as I know one school did, she just got solid color uniforms for everybody. So solid on one time, they're going to wear black, libero will be in white, and sometimes the libero will be in black, and their team will be in white. That's contrasting, and they're not going to have that white or black is not going to be on other uniform at all. They're both the solid colors. We can see that. Okay. So you know about the mascot, you know the size of things. You can have them on, they've got to be a certain size. All right? Same rules we've been going over about the piping and the trim, all that stuff, everything is the same. If you have any piping or trim, it needs to be on a seam. Has to be on a seam. Okay, this is talking about how big it can be, where it can be placed. It can be on the front or the back. This is the front and the back. You'll see it where they put it. B, let's say this is a team, the Broncos, and they want to put a B on their jersey. This is still considered a solid color uniform because they have a 4x4 or 3x5 size logo, and they can put that on there. You can have a team name on there. That would be okay also, okay? And it's still considered a solid color uniform. The collar does not come into play. I'm expecting manufacturers to suddenly come out with multicolored collars now because they have nothing else they can play with. Now, having said that, one of the things I want to point to your attention that referees are excited about, look at what's on this slide. It's going to be the same. So for all those of us that call collegiate, USA, and college, this is used to be a huge problem for us. When she said all of them got the same rule, the referees are like, thank you, Jesus. Because I'd be sitting at a college match and the girl would come out and she'd have on different shorts and I'm like, college, they have to be like. High school's like, college is identical. Yeah, okay. So the fact that they're all trying to come up with the same rules for uniforms, if they don't do anything else alike, this right here is extremely helpful because trying to keep track of all these different rules for uniforms, which is a part of the game I dislike the most. I really don't like police and y'all in their uniforms because I don't care. All I want to know is do we have players out there with numbers I can read, jerseys I can see? I'm happy. Okay, that's the thing that referees don't like to do. We have a lot of male referees in volleyball. They don't like it because they have to stare at your children. And that's just not good. Parents don't like that either. You know, you have a male coach going, you see a dad stand up in the bleachers. It's my baby. Get your eyes off my kid. So just have them be in the right uniforms. One of the things they did do, after the 3 of them got together and came up with these rules, they then talked to the manufacturers. So I'm going to tell you all now, if you're buying uniforms, beware, don't let them sell you old stock. Yes, it may be extremely discounted, it may be cheap, there's a reason for that. It's not in compliance. Say, I want to see the new stuff, I want to see the compliance stuff. Okay? Yes?
How does that work with the uniforms getting passed down to middle school?
We're not as worried about, this is basically for varsity and a little bit on sub-varsity, junior varsity. We're not as concerned with C team. We know you're doing all you can to get your kids out there. Your 9th grade teams, your 8th grade teams. We even allow sometimes the girls don't have unique numbers. We go to middle school and we go, we only have this tape on here, we're gonna do a little something, something to help this out a little bit. At that level, definitely know when you get to varsity, everything has to be perfect when you get to varsity in terms of uniforms. JV2, yes.
This is just varsity only.
This is varsity.
So if we had our name, like, you know, we have our name and our number on the back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like all the way around Espanola Valley, right? So that's gonna be in non-compliance when this rule is in.
You can have a player name or a school name across the back. Okay, what you can't have is a design.
Okay.
It can't be Espanola Valley with some mountains. No.
Yeah.
It has to be said Espanola Valley. Espanola Valley. That's it.
Could you have the logo and the name on the back, or is it one or the other?
One or the other. Okay. Okay. Here we have one that's in. Look at this. Is this in compliance for as a solid color jersey? No. Why? There's a different color introduced here. All right. Now, if that was a piece of piping, one little thread coming down, and it was red, would that be okay? Yes. Yes. Okay. Or if it's less than an inch, that would have been okay.
Does it matter if it's a long sleeve or short sleeve? Does it need to be all on sleeve or
What?
whatever it has to be? Does it
No.
matter if they wear short sleeve or long
No.
sleeve?
Okay. Here we have. Now they've got sublimation in a lot of things. Can you see that blue, the dragon in the background here?
Yeah.
That would make this non-compliant. We have basically a blue jersey, and there's some light color something going on behind that number. That's not legal, and that won't be legal anymore, right? This made this jersey non-compliant. It would have been okay. See where it says team player or mascot name on top of the number? If it's just that and the number 4, that would have been okay. But having that dragon, that is a dragon, by the way, sublimated underneath, made that non-compliant.
No, on the question back to Espanola Valley. So you can have Espanola and Valley this way, or does it have to be Espanola Valley?
You can have Espanola and Valley. You can have words. It can't be a design.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
can separate.
You can have Espanola Valley. Okay, we're going to skip this one because I'm going to come back to it because this is where I think the Federation made a mistake. Okay, here's something. Solid color uniform, are these compliant or non-compliant? The reason they're non-compliant, is this a design? Can't have designs on a solid color jersey. Now, could they have had one paw? Yes. If they'd had, if they took off all the paws and left one paw on, they'd be okay. On this 34 Cubs, can they have 34 Cubs on there? What makes that non-compliant? A claw scratch. If they took that out and just had the word Cubs, that would be okay. Everybody, you getting a better feel for what's okay and what's not okay? Like Sally said earlier, if you have any questions, take a picture of it, of your jersey, and send it into NMA, and we'll look at it, and we'll let you know right away. We usually get back to people in a day or two, all right? So when you take a picture of your jersey, if you're not sure, make sure you take a picture of the front and the back. And if you have any kind of side panels, hold it up to the side, okay? They're really excited with this football.
What happens if you're not the rotation for new uniforms? Is this going to be implemented this year?
No.
Oh,
Next year.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. We're going to talk about compliance. They purposely put this jersey on this desk with a bunch of other stuff so you can kind of get a sense of what officials see. We look out there and y'all just look like zebras. Especially it used to be black and white, and then you reverse and have the away uniform when you're playing on the libero, and then everybody else would be on the home uniform. But when they're all out there running around, it's like the same color, just moving around a lot. Even though black and white and blue and white are contrasting, if they've just reversed the colors, we can't find the libero. You can't find her. So this is showing, the rule says this is a red, white, and blue jersey. You cannot put a color on your libero that is on 25% or more of your other jersey. So can this team, can they use red? Can their libero be in all red? Can their libero be in all white? Can their libero be in all blue? So now you have a situation where she better be in green or yellow or pink or something. Okay? Now, having said that, so this is a no to all 3 colors. I'm going to go back up to this. This is white, gold, and blue. And know that this is up to the referee's judgment. They're saying the solid color jersey could be white or gold, but no blue. I would not approve that. Does it look like gold is on 25% of this uniform? No. Does to me. And that's all that matters. Does it look like part of it's white? 25% of it. Does it look like 25% of it's blue? That's what makes it difficult. We don't want to really get into saying that's too much. The whole purpose is we want to be able to see your defensive specialist readily. Okay, we've had games where a tracker's sitting there not tracking because she didn't realize there was a libero on the floor. Yes?
So, I have a jersey, I send it in to you guys approve it, I go out on the floor, and one of the officials comes up and goes, nope, not gonna happen.
Yeah. What they'll do, if you have a situation like that, you can say, I sent this in and they did approve it. 9 times out of 10, when NMA makes any kind of determination on you, they'll also, it's the same thing when you have a kid that has an adrenaline pump or a pump of some kind, they give you a letter. If you're having officials say, no, they already approved this, and they're not, call up here and request them, they will get you a letter, as you can say to that official, look. Okay? Any questions about uniforms? Okay, publications. These are the ones that are out there. You'll be seeing them. New Mexico on the covers. Take advantage of them. This also says you can go get them online. You can also call the toll-free number that's on the screen. Also, if you need to get scorebooks, that's where you can get scorebooks. I beseech you, please consider getting a scorebook. I know some of y'all bought them by the case back in 1958, and you're still using them. We need some of you to come on into 2014 with the rule books, okay? And so if you've only got 2 or 3 left, just consider maybe buying some new ones anyway. They accommodate 30 matches. The new scorebooks, they will hold 30 matches. So if you can, please have up-to-date scorebooks. Casebook update. I talked about it. They've taken out old cases, put in new cases. This is excellent. Please, please, please talk people into reading it. These are the people who rewrote it. I know Joe Campbell and Christina Feebeck. She was just in here. We just finished a conference. We had our officials clinic on Saturday. The next 3 days we had the National Association of Sports Officials here. So your referees had the opportunity to talk to professional basketball refs who are in the audience, professional NFL, Major League Baseball player refs. It was a love fest for referees. And so we got to talk to people who are at the top of their game from all different sports. And so we've been doing some training on our own also. We do what we can, endeavor to get better. They also now have it electronically. For those of you that are coaching and you want to have everything on your iPad, your Apple, your Android Kindle users, you can get these things now. Some of them are $5.99. For the mere cost of $5.99, you can download them. There's an app for that. You can put all that on your phone. We already have someone who's done that. Okay? They have a learning center. National Federation of High Schools has a learning center. So for those of you that are fairly new, you can go in there. For those of you that have been coaching for a long time, I know sometimes you can get stayed and you want to come up with some new stuff. Please go to the learning center. Most of the things on the learning center are free. Some of them might have a cost associated with them, $50, $20 to get a course. By all means, go in there and browse through it and see if any of that is something that would interest you and help you improve your program. Might be something that you like. Okay, this is the end of the presentation. I want to briefly talk to you about, because this has been coming up, and yes, Damien, we are going to try to get the referees to recognize it. I want to talk to you about when the libero is at the net, and it says in the rule book, can the libero block? Can the libero attempt to block? So here's what I want you all to look for. Here's what we're going to be training referees to look for. If she's in the front row, and she's standing by the block, and she goes like this, and the net's up here, and they block the ball, did the libero attempt to block? No. In order for her to be a blocker, she has to do what a blocker does. The aspects of being a blocker is some part of her body has to be above the net. Her head, her hand, something. That's a blocker. You're not a blocker until you are near the net and something is above the height of the net. So even if your barrel's standing there, she turns around and goes like that, she's not automatically going to be called for attempting to block because she's not a blocker yet. She's just a girl standing there. 9 times out of 10, they're doing the thing. Okay? So we're going to be training officials to look for that. They have to look and make sure she's actually left the floor and she is above the net or her head's above. Same thing when a blocker goes up and they get hit in their head, but their head's above the height of the net. Well, oops, but it counts. Any part of the body that's above the height of the net, that makes a blocker. Okay? Are you all good on that? So attempting to block doesn't mean she went there and stood there and tried. She has to actually become a blocker. Okay? So we're going to try to make sure referees are trained on recognizing that difference. This does not mean go back and train your liberos to stand up there and do that. Don't make it harder for me than it needs to be, okay? All right, do you guys have any questions about, yes?
Just about the libero again. What is the rule on them being in, like, past the 10-foot line and not setting, but maybe passing and somebody hits the
The
ball?
libero can pass a ball, use an underhand pass or a pass, anywhere on her side of the court and set and pass the ball up to a hitter. The hitter can jump over the height of the net and hit the ball. The libero cannot use fingertip action, can't do an overhand set on the 10-foot line or the extension of the 10-foot line. In other words, she can't be off the court in front of the 10-foot line and set the girl. All right? Well, she can. That's not illegal. What makes it illegal is if the hitter jumps up and contacts the ball above the height of the net. Okay? Reason for it is the libero is a defensive specialist. They really don't want her becoming the setter. That's not her job. Okay? Yes?
Why are we allowing the libero to hit?
I asked the same thing. We want to know the same thing. I'm always shocked when you guys are warming up your teams and I actually see the libero, you're setting the libero in the back row. I'm like, what? Because it's illegal for her to jump up and contact the ball above the height of the net. So it always makes me wonder. Now, we know you all have some girls that are 5 foot nothing. And if she gets called for back row, you have made her year. Because she's been trying since she was born to get above the height of the net. I actually had a little girl when I called her, she was like, yes! And her coach goes, okay, you got that out of your system, don't ever do it again. But very good. Very good. Okay.
Let me answer that. The way you asked that question, why don't you? Okay, we follow National Federation rules, and until the National Federation changes a rule, we can't change it.
Right. They don't do it in the
So just to let you know, it's not us making the rules. We whatever the national office tells us. Okay.
Right. Yeah, the libero in international and collegiate, club, and high school, they cannot contact the ball higher than the height of the net in all 4 sets of rules. They are a defensive specialist, and that's what they're supposed to do. Okay? Any other rules? Yes? What?
Contact. Can you clarify what's legal with contact?
Between players?
Contact the ball with the foot.
Oh, you can the old rule used to be you couldn't play a ball below your waist. Then it changed, the ball could contact part of your body below the waist. Then the rule was it can contact the foot as long as it's inactive, meaning it just boom hit somebody's foot. Now, you'll see now, blockers go up, block a ball, and then the girl actually come down and go because it went there, she's here, but she's trying to pop it up for a teammate. That's not inactive anymore. She's trying to kick. That's okay.
It's all okay now.
You know, it's all
So now
about.
soccer players are gonna come.
You should see them. I mean, when I watch international and collegiate players, they actually go up, and the men are something else. And it comes up, setter comes out like it's on purpose, whoop, and they just keep playing. I'm like, what was that? So yes, they can. If you get somebody that's good enough to direct it, it's all about keeping the ball live. The object of the game is to put the ball on the other team's court, in bounds. And so whatever they can do to keep that ball alive, that's what they'll do. So yes, you can use your foot. Any other questions? I'll be around for a while. If there's something you want to ask and you don't want to ask in front of everybody else. Yes? Hang on, people.
What about other parts of the body then?
Okay. From the soles of your feet to the top of your head. Ear. Now, as coaches, do you want that? I mean, can you direct that ball off of the shoulder? You're already at a disadvantage because that ball is going wherever. Okay, so you really want them to, but it can hit any part of your body and it is still live until it hits something that's out of play or it hits a